down to rapping, I was through with it before the rest of them learned what to do with it.
Eazy-E, Too Short, Snoop Dogg, you don't have that if you don't have a Rudy Ray Moore. People wanted to stand tall, you know, after all the years of being oppressed.
It gave you a sense of...
In 1955, sax legend Big J McNeely caught his act and hooked him up with Federal Records in Cincinnati, the home of none other than James Brown.
Unfortunately for him, typically when a record company, especially a small one, has a big hit with one artist, it makes it difficult for them to focus on another one.
That must have...
Anytime you work at a record store, it gives you a chance to get the pulse of the people. And it totally put him in tune with what was happening at the time. Through a wino by the name of Rico, who would tell all of these different folklore tales and stories and rhythms and rhymes. And Rudy noticed how great the reaction was. And so he actually paid him to come to his house and perform. He recorded it, and then he studied it and presented it himself.
Now, Dolemite. Right on.
Dolemite was this larger-than-life character, this black man who could have sex all day with however many women he wanted. He could shoot you down, beat you down, whatever he wanted to do. He was gonna be the baddest dude in the room, just to a ridiculous level.
So that's when
the distributor called him back and said, you know what, I apologize. I want 1,000 copies of this thing because it's blowing up. And people wanted to stand tall, you know, after all the years of being oppressed. And having these larger-than-life characters like a Dolemite was something that really appealed to people because it was right on time with what was going on in society.
And his second album boasted a new riff, the signifying monkey.
The monkey and the elephant and the lion, and it's like, this is real straight-up African, no holds barred.
Beyond his material, the album covers were also making some noise.
The record stores couldn't even put them out front for people to see, so that just added to it. They had to come in the store and ask for it and put it in the paper bag. No major studio was about to back him and say, okay, you're gonna be the star of a movie. He knew he had to do it himself. He took... Lady Reed was probably the most famous of the people that he brought out. She was sort of his Lil' Kim to his Biggie. You know, she was his ride or die right there with him.
Queen Bee.
He was able to use a lot of those locations for the films, whether it was clubs, hotels, hamburger joints. You know, he could do that because he had what we call that ghetto pass.
In 1976, Rudy began working on a sequel to Dolemite. He called it The Human Tornado.
You see the crazy karate moves where he's doing the head. And instead of barely kicking people where it looks like that he's not connected, it looks like he's really kicking these guys in the Human Tornado. It's more entertaining, it's more daring. The storyline is crazier, the scenes are crazier. It's just really the height of what he did.
But at the same time, you
check out this good you know, take it back, you know, with the instant replay. I mean, that's just classic. That whole film just takes everything to a higher level. He actually rigged an extra ceiling at the top to be able to have that effect where it looks like the ceiling is coming down, but it really wasn't because it was just an extra ceiling. You don't see him doing anything pimpish other than walking with the big hat and the cane, you know, but he had that larger-than-life kind of vibe to it. He was like a pimp. There was actually an old blues singer around like the 30s who billed himself as P.D. Wheatstraw, the devil's son-in-law. So Rudy Ray Moore drew on that when it was time to make another movie. One of the most memorable scenes of P.D. Wheatstraw is when the devil gives him his own bachelor party. A lot of guys love that scene.
Pay the bills, he returned to his roots and shot a low-budget stand-up film called Rude, released in 1982.
He's dancing around and moving and, you know, performing all these bits.
Dolemite.
But the thing is, by that time, a lot of that material was much older by then, so it didn't really catch on.
Dolemite is my name.
The biggest turning point to me was the song he did with Big Daddy Kane.
Well, let me tell you something, Mr. Dolemite.
Next thing you know, you had cats walking around college campuses quoting Dolemite.
I mean, it was just...
And when you get to something like a Def Comedy Jam, it's a whole bunch of Rudy Ray Moore influenced comedians.